Morning, everyone. Shavua Tov. Welcome to our Parsha class, the Parsha of Vayelach. We are very close to the end of the entire Chumash, the end of the fifth book of Devarim, Deuteronomy. In a few weeks on Simchas Torah, we conclude the last Parsha of Zayis HaBracha. But today we'll focus on Vayelach and see if perhaps you can find a connection to this time of year, to Rosh Hashanah, which is tomorrow night. So the Parsha on page 1328, 1329, it has a very interesting opening. They say this joke, in Judaism, we understand that the lifespan at this point, it used to be hundreds of years, right? That the Hashem, put it, lowered it to 120 years, right? We wish you lived. We should live 100. Should live to 120, or some people express themselves. After a person passes away, after 120, right? That's like the way we understand it, because the Torah says that the lifespan of a person is up to 120. So what do you tell a person on his 120th birthday? What do you wish him?
I hope happy birthday, but I guess
You tell him have a good day. So the Torah, the Parsha opens up. Moshe Rabbeinu, it's on his 120th birthday, which is the day he passed away. He passed away on his birthday. We make the calculation that it was the 7th of Adar. 7th of Adar. So it's just about 30. We know this from basically 33 days before the Jewish people went into Israel with Yehoshua. So it was 30 days of mourning, the Shloshim, and additional 3 days. So it was the 7th of Adar. He was also born on the 7th of Adar. He was born and he died on the same day. So the beginning of the book of Deuteronomy, the book of Devarim, which opens up, Eila HaDevarim, these are the words that Moshe spoke before he passes away. That began on the 1st of Shvat. So it was 7 weeks. Not 7 weeks. It was 5 weeks. It was a month plus a week. 37 days before he passes away. And this Parsha opens up on the day of on the last day, the day he passes away. What does Moshe tell the Jewish people the day he passes away? So let's start. I want to read the first 2 verses, and then we'll talk about a fascinating concept about a Torah scroll that we have in this Parsha. Vayelach Moshe. Moshe went. Vayidaber es kol hadvarim ha'ele el kol Yisrael. And he spoke these following words to all of Israel. Vayomer aleim, and he said to them, Ben meya ve'esrim shana anochi hayoim. I am exactly 120 years today. I'm not going to be able to continue coming and going. And Rashi says specifically, it was teaching Torah. The end has come for me to teach you all that I know. V'Hashem Omar Alai, God told me, that I will not go over, cross this Jordan River into Israel. And he continues talking that Joshua will lead you here on out, right? Yehoshua will take me over, and God will be with him, and he is going to destroy the nations of Israel, of Canaan, just as he has destroyed other nations. Don't be afraid, etc. He goes on giving them some hope and courage with going into Israel after Moshe passes away. But Rashi points out on the words that I am 120 years today, that the emphasis today was that, yes, today was his birthday, but Moshe also told them, it's my life. This is my entire life today. It's going to end today. I was born today and I will die today. So Moshe Rabbeinu knew that this is the day he's going to pass away, which you can say is almost like a gift. It's a gift when a person knows that their end is near because they could prepare themselves, they could prepare their family, prepare their friends for their passing. Moshe Rabbeinu knows that today I'm passing away. He knew it's going to be exactly 120 years. Today's his birthday. It's the 7th of Adar. He's passing away. I mean, talking about using out our time, right? We often just waste time because we have so much time on our hands. We'll do it tomorrow. As they say, don't push off to tomorrow. Well, you could push off to after tomorrow. Right? So, right, we have so much time, especially those that are already retired. We don't have so many responsibilities, so we can get things done whenever we have time, right? Um, they say that the earlier years, talk about 120 years, right? Earlier on, the Torah tells us that people lived for hundreds of years. And why did that stop? Because you have hundreds of years ahead of you. When are you going to get something done? Whatever, in 10 years, in 20 years, 50 years, I have so much time, right? So what happens? We end up wasting so much time. Reminds me of the husband that tells his wife. The wife tells him, "Can you change the bulb already? Like I asked you 7 times, change the bulb." He says, "If I tell you I'm going to change the bulb, I'm going to change the bulb. Don't remind me every 6 months." So, right, we have so much time on our hands. But we all know that when we know that there's no time, right? We know that we have an hour to get everything done because whatever, right? It's happening in an hour. So you make sure that you use every moment. You use every moment out. It reminds you of someone that was training us when I became just new to being a rabbi. People talking about time management, right? The time management. Use it every moment. So he said, imagine every day of your life is like Erev Pesach, right? Erev Pesach on the Jewish calendar is one of the most busiest days. You got to get rid of your chametz, you got to burn the chametz, prepare for the Seder. I mean, you don't have time to sit on your phone on social media and waste an hour, right? It's Erev Pesach. It's so much to do. Imagine every day of your life was Erev Pesach. There's so many things. You can't just waste time. Moshe knew that this is the last day of his life. I mean, Moshe, I'm sure, never wasted time. But how does he use the last few moments of his life? He's speaking to the Jewish people. He's encouraging them. The Parsha continues with various mitzvahs that he tells them. The mitzvah of Hakhel, of the gathering that the Jewish people would gather every 7 years in the Beis Hamikdash on the holiday of Sukkot, in addition to the regular pilgrimage that they had every year. But this was something special where the king would read the Torah and try to inspire them. The mitzvah of Hakhel, which is still today practice where we do gatherings every 7 years. We had it a few years ago on the calendar. But then there's another mitzvah. And it's an interesting mitzvah. It's the final mitzvah. It's the last mitzvah of the 613 mitzvahs, right? We have 613 commandments. The last of the 613 that was given moments before Moshe passes away was a mitzvah that kind of wraps up the entire Torah. It's a mitzvah in reference to the Torah itself, which is interesting because the Torah doesn't really reference itself that much in the Torah. But over here, the Torah talks about writing a Torah. The Torah talks about write the Torah, and there was one Torah that was kept in the Holy of Holies next to the Ark, next to the Aron, the Ark. Moshe also writes 13 Torahs. 13 Torahs he writes, and he gives each tribe a gift, the gift of the Torah. I wish we would have these Torahs. We don't have these Torahs. I'm not sure what happens then. But a gift. Moshe Rabbeinu writes a Torah for every tribe. Well, it's unclear when he wrote it. It seems like he wrote it a lot on this day, but I'm not sure if he wrote 13 Torahs in one day or if he had them already prepared from before. But however it works, and he gave them a gift. To each of the tribes, he gave a Torah scroll. Well, there's 13 tribes because there's Levites.
Oh, right. Okay.
The Levites, and the 12 tribes.
So the Levites.
They're kind of separate. You're right, exactly. So there were 12 children of Jacob. Joseph got a blessing from Jacob that his two children, Ephraim and Manasseh, will each be counted as a separate tribe. So it makes it 13 tribes because Joseph is divided in two. So we don't count Levi as a regular tribe. They didn't get us their own portion of the land. They were always counted separately. So there's, however you want to count it, 13 tribes because Joseph is two, 12 sons of Jacob. So let's read this inside. The mitzvah of writing a Torah, and we'll talk about this for a moment.
Well, isn't every family supposed to write a Torah if they have it out?
Well, so we'll get to that in a second. So it started off in verse 9, where he started off writing a Torah for the Levites. So verse 9 says, "Vayichtav Moshe es haTorah hazois." Moshe writes this Torah. We're on page 1331. Vayitna el haKohanim b'nei Levi. He gives it to the Kohanim, the children of Levi. Hanoisim as Arim b'ris Hashem, those who carry the ark of covenant of Hashem. Ve'el kol ziknei Yisrael, to the elders of Israel. And then if we move on a little further, verse 19, the next page. Va'ata, and now. Kisvu lachem es ashira hazois. Write for yourself this song. V'lamda es b'nei Yisrael, and teach it to the children of Israel. Now, when we say this song, what is this referring to? So Rashi says it's actually referring to the next Parsha, the Parsha of Ha'azinu, which is like a poem, like a song that Moshe speaks to the Jewish people. But the Maimonides actually takes this to mean that there's a commandment, there's a mitzvah that we each write our own Torah scroll, the entire Torah. And if right, because the Torah also refers to this not only as a song but also the Torah, the Sefer HaTorah, right? The expression to refer to the Torah as a Sefer Torah, the book of Torah, is actually from this week's Parsha. If you look later, verse 25, 26, the next page, 1335. Take this Sefer Torah, right? So we refer to the Torah as the Sefer Torah, as a Torah scroll. And Maimonides said there's a mitzvah that each and every one of us, each individual, has to write his own Torah. It's just an interesting relationship that we have with our Torah. The Torah is not just it's a teachings from God. So we have to have a method of preserving it and studying it. So you write it down. No, the Torah becomes like a central item in Judaism. We should all write our own Torah. Every community has a Torah. Every synagogue has a Torah. We take it out and we read it. It's not just, hey, we'll read it on our own. We read it every Shabbos or during the week. We dance with it on Simchas Torah. We dress it up beautifully. We put a crown onto the Torah, right? We cherish the Torah. We have this deep relationship with the Torah. And like Michael pointed out, there's a mitzvah that we each write a Torah. I think we discussed this at a previous time. What exactly is the ramifications of this mitzvah? Have you written a Torah scroll? Have you written a Torah scroll? I mean, there are many very, very pious religious Jews. we haven't written a Torah scroll, right? Maimonides says that there's a mitzvah to write your own Torah scroll. Okay, some wealthy Jews could petition a sofer to write a Torah scroll for themselves. A small percentage of Jewish people are doing this, right? Many, many great religious Jews, very pious. They'll be careful with the smallest issue on Shabbos or kosher, but they're not writing their own Torah scroll. Even though seemingly it's a clear mitzvah, the 613th mitzvah, to write your own Torah scroll. So they're not writing it, they're commissioning it. Some people do write it, right? You have the few people who actually know how to write a Torah scroll. But the ones that can't write it, they commission someone. Commissioning someone is like a lot of things we do, right? A lot of times you can't do it for yourself, so you pay for someone else to do it for you, right? There's a mitzvah of a father to circumcise their son. But most people commission the moil to do it for them, right? So
We wouldn't want this guy doing it.
No.
Said he doesn't like boy.
So the point is, but even that we don't find many people, right? How many people do we know that commissioned a sofer to write a Torah scroll? And even when you write a Torah scroll, generally it's a donation to the community.
Right.
But for themselves, that I should have my own Torah scroll at home. How many people do we know that have that? I mean, I know a few people that have a Torah scroll at home. I mean, but it's not the common. It's not the norm, right? However, there's a clear mitzvah. Maimonides learns that from this verse that there's a mitzvah for each and every one individual to write their own Torah scroll. So there's numerous explanations to it. The most simple explanation given by the Rush, by Rabbi Usher Alfasi, Rabbi, I think his name was that. He writes, Rabbeinu Usher, Rabbeinu Usher, the Rush. He writes that the intent over here was to study Torah. So back in the day, if you didn't have your own Torah scroll, how are you going to study? You got to borrow someone else's. It wasn't very convenient. So you got to have a Torah scroll at home so you can study it whenever you have a chance to. But today that we have books or we have internet, we have access to the Torah even if you don't write your own Torah scroll. So that's the idea. The idea is really to make sure you have access to Torah books. So you're buying your own chumash, having it at home. Subscribing to whatever website you need to subscribe to make sure you have access to all the Torah study that you need, which is an interesting point because, today libraries are becoming slowly something of the past because so much went virtual, right? You get everything online. You can read books online. So who needs to get a physical book? Who prints physical books as much? Not as much.
But you can't turn this on Shabbos.
Oh, exactly. But in Judaism, we know that books are always stay around because Shabbos, right? You can't open a computer on Shabbos and study. You're supposed to read. So you need a physical book. So there's this concept. One of the campaigns that the Rebbe had was to fill your house with books, with Torah books. So every house should have a bookshelf, a shelf on the bookshelf or a full bookshelf, whatever, should have Torah books, whether it's a Chumash and a Tehillim and a Siddur, that's the basics. But then whatever, just add an interesting book, add the Tanakh, add some Talmud, add some Mishnah, add some, or even the contemporary books that people wrote on different topics based on the Torah, to fill your house with these books. So you see it, your children see it, your grandchildren see it, that this is something important, that this is something that we live by. And every once in a while, have an extra few moments, you can take it out, you could read it a little bit. It kind of reminds us. It's kind of in your face. Where look, I see the bookshelf. I see the Torah books. So that's really the idea behind this mitzvah. According to the Rush, it wasn't literal that you have to have a Torah scroll. It's more like you have to have access to Torah whenever you need it, and therefore have it in your house. If it's not a literal Torah scroll, it means Torah books. So that's one explanation with a very practical ramification of that, or a practical implication. But there's another idea that the Rebbe once developed, where it's the idea that when the community owns a Torah scroll, and when people are part of this community, so they fulfill their personal obligation of writing their own Torah scroll by joining this community, and especially when we get called to the Torah, we make a blessing on the Torah. This is a communal Torah that everyone has a part of. Everyone has a part of it. So that's how we kind of fulfill this commandment as well, which is just to kind of take this the kind of step further. What comes out from this idea is that the last mitzvah of the Torah, which is to write a Torah scroll, is really in a broader sense a mitzvah to be part of a community. Because if we fulfill this obligation of writing a Torah scroll by being part of a community and taking part in their, kind of having a part in their Torah, making a blessing on the community's Torah. So we don't mean paying membership dues necessarily. It means being an active member of a community, coming to synagogue, getting called up to the Torah. This is a mitzvah, so to say, and it's the final mitzvah. It's like the last mitzvah. So Moshe Rabbeinu, before he passes away, he tells everyone, listen, I'm passing away. But remember the importance of being part of a community. It's that unity that comes out from that community type of lifestyle, right? Some people say, "Why do I need a community? I could be at home. I could study at home. I could pray at home. I could serve God at home. I could be a good Jew at home. And I love my family. I love my personal environment. I don't need to socialize with other people. I don't need to go to synagogue and pray over there. I could pray at home." And the truth is, you're right. You could pray at home. And if someone isn't able to come to synagogue, it's no excuse. You have to pray at home, right? Do everything you be a Jew at home. And sometimes we actually emphasize that. Don't only be a Jew in synagogue. Be a Jew wherever you are, even your home. Your home should be your own little temple, right? Make your home a dwelling place for God. Put a mezuzah on the door. You have Torah books. You have a kosher house. You have your home becomes a godly place. But on the flip side, we can't suffice with only being at home. We have to be part of a community, part of others, right? Last week's parsha began with Atem nitzavim hayoim kulchem. You are all of the Jewish people together. We're standing. We're all like guarantors for each other. We have each other's backs, right? Reminds me of the story of the new rabbi that came to town, and he comes to the shul and he saw there's a problem in our shul. What's the problem? Everyone's talking. Everyone's talking during davening. And he couldn't handle it. People come to synagogue to pray, not to talk. So he made a new edict. He made a new decree. He made a new rule. No talking during davening. If you want to talk during davening, get out. Go to the shul down the block. This shul, we come to pray, no talking. Okay. People listened. People stopped talking. Well, 2 weeks later, they knock on the door. Rabbi, I'm having issues with my business. I need a loan. I need something. It's going wrong. Okay, helps him out. A few days later, Rabbi, child is not feeling well. You have any advice what I could do? 2 weeks later, issue with my marriage. 3 weeks. The rabbi turns to his board and says, "What's wrong with this community? There's so many problems. Suddenly, is this the norm? It's so many problems." They said, "I don't know. This is something new. We never had this before." So he starts to figure this out. And he makes a forensic analysis, and he realizes that when people were talking in shul, you know what was happening?
It was solving problems.
It was solving problems. Oh, I hear you have a problem with the business. Let me tell you how to do it. Let me tell you how to get a loan. You have a problem with your marriage. You have a problem with the health. This medication, speak to that doctor. People give each other advice. Now, I'm not for speaking during davening. People should not speak during davening. But the idea of coming to a shul and to being part of a community, that's what a community is all about, to helping each other. And that's what Moshe says. It's so important to be part of a community. It says that God hears the prayers, hears all our prayers, but the prayers of a community, when a minyan is davening together, those go straight up to heaven, right? There's something special and unique about a community. And that is a way of how we fulfill the mitzvah of owning our own Torah. But that's really the idea, the last mitzvah of the Torah. Talking about our relationship with the Torah and connecting this to Rosh Hashanah. But Rosh Hashanah is the day that God judges us. And it's a day that, first of all, we want to be judged as a community, not as an individual sometimes. But also, the idea of judgment, the idea of teshuvah, the idea of coming to repentance, is really the idea of telling God, see me for who I truly am, right? Don't see me for my actions, see me for my essence. And my essence is pure, right? It's like a child tells the parents, maybe I misbehaved, maybe I didn't listen to you, I didn't listen to all your advice and all your wise words when you were educating me because I knew better. But now I realize I didn't know I didn't know that much better than you did, right? So when you ask for forgiveness, what are you telling? You're telling your parents, listen, I'm your child. Right? I'm your child. The child doesn't have to verbalize this, but that's the message. The message is, you see me for who I am. I'm your child. Okay, I messed up. I didn't listen. I misbehaved. But ultimately, that's not who I am. Don't judge me for my actions. Judge me for who I am. That's what we're asking Hashem. And when we talk about for who we are, the essence of a Jew is pure. The core of a Jew is pure. Tohira, he would say, right? We have a neshama which is pure. And that is what a community is. But that really is what unifies us. And that's what connects us. Because in that area, we're all the same. Everyone is different in their talents and their way of life. And so many differences between everyone. But one thing we have the same is that we all have the same neshama. That is what unifies us as a community. And our connection to the Torah is really not only our connection of how much Torah study we have, how much Torah we studied, but it's really about that core connection that we have with the Torah. We know that every Jew has a letter in the Torah, not literally but figuratively, right? There's 304,000 letters in the Torah, but the idea is that every Jew has a connection to the Torah. Once heard a story of an atheist who comes to the rabbi, tells the rabbi that I'm an atheist, I'm a non-believer. I don't believe in God. I think this whole Judaism is made up. It's not. It's a joke. Zero feelings to it. I'm a total atheist. What does the rabbi do? They were sitting in a synagogue. What? They were sitting in a synagogue, in a sanctuary. So the rabbi tells them, do me a favor. You see the ark over there? Take out the Torah scroll. And I want you to do is, I want you to roll it on the floor. And I want you to step on it. Rabbi, can't do that. Why not? Why not? You don't believe in it. You think it's all made up. I can't. Because, you know, he couldn't explain why he can't. But he couldn't bring himself to do it. Because a Jewish atheist is a Jewish before the atheist. There's something there. There's something there. It's like the other Jew that came to the rabbi, I think this was the Tzaddik, and told the rabbi, what should I do? I feel that I am becoming a heretic. I'm doubting my faith in God. What should I do? So the rabbi says, what's the problem? What's the issue? But I'm Jewish. So the rabbi says, you're fine. If you're upset that you're becoming an atheist, that means that deep down there's something there. That's fine. Okay. Right. That's the beauty of a Jew. It's like you go to a synagogue on Yom Kippur, you go to a church on whatever holiday. You ask the guy's coming out to shul, are you a believer? Do you believe in God? Oh, of course, believe in God. What's the question? You go to a mosque on their holiday, you say, do you believe in God? Oh, of course, I believe in God. What's the question? You go to a synagogue, temple on Yom Kippur, you have ask people coming out, excuse me, sir, do you believe in God? God? I don't know what you mean by God. Maybe, perhaps, I'm not sure. Yeah, ask the next person, do you believe in God? Believe, I don't know what believe is. Knowing, believing, faith. Maybe the guy can't give a clear answer. So then you ask them, well, why did you come to synagogue? What do you mean it's Yom Kippur? Right? So
many years ago, I walked through the quarter and went through the corner and out of antique. And they had a Torah scroll in the back of this store, leaning up against the wall. And that, I got about maybe a few steps. I turned around and picked that up. Well, leaning up against the wall was that wrong?
is it on the floor?
It was on the floor, but the Torah wasn't actually laid on the floor.
Yeah, we don't put Torahs on the floor. Even so that's yeah. I mean, some people don't know, but I'm saying we don't put the Torahs on the floor. In fact, if the Torah falls on the floor accidentally, we're supposed to fast. Right? It's that serious. That's that. I mean, this is obviously they didn't have in mind to disrespect the Torah. I'm assuming this probably didn't know what the proper but we don't put Torahs on the floor. So there so that was like the specialty of Jewish people, right? We have this intrinsic connection to the Torah, whether we like it or not. We just have this connection. This is who we are. There's an interesting passage in the Talmud. I want to read it inside. An interesting story with Moshe Rabbeinu and Rabbi Akiva. Right, so we know that Moshe spent many days on the mountain, up on the mountain. We don't know exactly what went on there. He spoke to God. God was teaching him the Torah. Obviously, the superhuman type of activity. So the Talmud gives us a little glimpse into one of the dialogues that happened between him and God. So this is from the tractate of Menachot. It says like this. When Moshe went up the mountain, he comes into a chamber and he sees God himself is sitting and writing Torah. But the Torah letters of the Torah have what's called crowns. You know what I'm talking about? Let me see if I could quickly pull it up over here. Letters of the Torah, images. Okay. So every letter has a little crown. Okay, let me just share the screen. I'll show you over here in a second. Uh, Share. Okay, so you see over here, those over here in person, right? So all the letters, some of them have these crowns on top of them, right? So he sees God. So you see here, for example, those on the screen, like the Gimel or the Hey, the Zion, the Test, they have these crowns on top of them. So he sees God is writing these letters, but he's also writing these additional crowns on top of the letters. So so Moshe turns to God and says, Master of the universe, who is like why are you writing these crowns? For what purpose? So God answered him. God said, there's a certain man that will live in future generations. His name is Akiva ben Yosef, right? Later became the famous Rabbi Akiva. And he is going to learn many piles and piles, mountains and mountains of halachot, of laws from each of these crowns. In other words, we know, there's so much hidden in the words of the Torah. We spoke about this many times, that sometimes we derive certain things from different ways the Torah was written, an extra word, an extra letter, it's missing a word, or it's an added word, and it's all alluding to certain halachot, things that we learn from it. Rabbi Akiva was sometimes even learn from the fact that there's a crown on the letter. We learn something from that, right? Right? So Rabbi Akiva would understand each of these crowns, what the meaning behind it is, and therefore I am writing this. This is what God answers Moshe. So Moshe says, I want to see this. I want to see this. I want to witness Rabbi Akiva studying these crowns. So God told him, okay, walk back a little bit. Sit down in class. So he sat down and suddenly he sees himself, he finds him. This is all Moshe's experience up there. Suddenly he finds himself sitting in the classroom. He sits in the back row and Rabbi Akiva is teaching Torah. And Moshe, the Talmud says, felt very lost in class. He didn't know what's going on over there. Moshe Rabbeinu himself, he says, I don't recognize this. This is like Torah that I never heard before, right? Because it was Rabbi Akiva expounding upon the teachings of Moshe that was, alluded to by Moshe, but he was expounding upon it at great length. So he was sitting there. He was a little lost in class, and he felt a little down. And then Rabbi Akiva was teaching something, and one of the students asked Rabbi Akiva, "Where do you know this from? What's the source for this?" So Rabbi Akiva says, "This is a halacha leMoshe miSinai. This was given to Moshe at Sinai." And Moshe felt better. So this is the short passage of the Talmud. And there's so much to be said about what exactly this means, what it means that it was given to Moshe at Sinai, that Moshe himself didn't recognize it. Moshe was giving a lot of the principles of how to study was given to Moshe. Some of the ideas that were given to Moshe were expounded upon later. So there's a lot in this passage of the Talmud. But just one idea is that Moshe focused on the letters of the Torah, right? What are the words of the Torah? Rabbi Akiva took that a step further. Rabbi Akiva was looking at the crowns of the Torah. What's the difference between the letter of the Torah and the crown of the Torah? We said that every Jew has a letter in the Torah. The letter of the Torah represents the Jewish person. Which part of the Jewish person? His neshama, his good side, his spiritual side, his godly side. So when a person is living up to that part of him, that side of him. Moshe sees how this is very much connected to the Torah. Moshe looks to them and says, Michael, Lance, I see how you and the Torah are connected. I see that correlation. I see that connection point. It's obvious. It's revealed. It's open. It's in the open. So Moshe understands your connection to the Torah. But then there are certain Jews who their connection to the Torah is lost. It's hidden. It's not seen. I don't see how you are in this letter are connected. How you and the Torah are connected. I don't see any connection. You're not living a life that has anything to do with the Torah. It's very lost. It's very hidden. So Moshe says, I don't see this connection. Rabbi Akiva says, you know where you find the connection? You got to look at the entire letter. Sometimes it's in the crown. Sometimes their connection is not what's written. It's not what's, the letter itself is pronounced. The letter itself is the revealed part of the Torah. You don't pronounce the crowns. Crowns are there, but you don't pronounce it. It's not necessarily, is it all out in the open. Sometimes a person's connection to the Torah is hidden, but it's still there. It's part of the Torah. And Moshe, perhaps, he himself was not able to see it, but Rabbi Akiva was able to see it. Rabbi Akiva had a very different upbringing than Moshe. Rabbi Akiva was born illiterate. He was raised, I should say, without that revealed connection to the Torah. We know that he was 40 years old and he still did not know how to study basic Torah. And only later in life was he introduced to the Torah. Only later in life did he start studying, and then he became the great Rabbi Akiva. So he understood what it means to have this hidden connection to the Torah, not in a revealed way. So he would take these crowns and he would learn from them. In other words, he would see the essence of a Jew, how they are connected to the Torah, even if it's not in a revealed way, and he would try bringing that out, telling a person, this is who you truly are. You might as well live up to it, right? Reveal that true essence that you have within you. That connection to the Torah that you may not know, but it's there. So Rabbi Akiva recognized that. And he revealed that we're all in unity over here because we all have this connection to the Torah. So that is, like I said, the last mitzvah of the Torah, to write a Torah. It's through our connection to the community, which we fulfill this mitzvah. And the connection to the community is really about showing how the Torah is what our connection to the Torah, which is our essence, is really what unites us all, whether we are living openly as Jews and living up to our connection to the Torah, or whether we're not, we feel like we're very secular and probably even atheists and very far from the Torah. Really, we're all really connected through our connection to the Torah. So I want to conclude with a story that I think I told this last year when I heard this from my friend, but it's an amazing story, how just sometimes you are able to ignite that connection that we have to the Torah, to our mitzvah, just by speaking to another Jew and kind of bringing that out within them. So I have a friend, Hillel, who lives now in Paris, France. And he spends a lot of time at a neighborhood in Paris called the Pletzel, which is like an old Jewish neighborhood. And Pletzel, I'm not sure what it's called in French, but that's what the Jewish name for it is. Pletzel. Pletzel means a plot, like a little like area. It's like a little like I don't know what exactly. There's some restaurants there. There's some old synagogues there. Falafel stands probably. I've never been there. I've never been to Paris, but either way, he spends time over there because there are many Jewish tourists that come there. And he has a tefillin stand, and he offers Jews to put on tefillin. Many people have made their bar mitzvah with him in Paris. People from New Orleans sometimes will send me a picture. I actually was in the hospital visiting someone a few months ago, and I offered him to put on tefillin. He says, last time I put on tefillin was in Paris, France. He showed me a picture, him and Hillel, putting on tefillin together. I'm like, I know this guy. He's my classmate. Anyways, so Hillel tells me like this. He says that he asks a Jew to put on tefillin, and he says, "Excuse me, are you Jewish?" So he says, out loud, he yells, "Yes, I'm Jewish!" Like very excited. And he says, "We'd like to put on tefillin." Yes, let's put on tefillin. Now Hillel himself is a pretty energetic type of guy, but this guy outdid him. And he's like, whoa, like that's very excited. And I never, I never got that response. Usually people are like, okay, let's put on tefillin. So after they put on tefillin together, Hillel said, tell me, what's with this energy? Like, why are you so excited to put on tefillin? He says, it's been 50 years, 50 years. He says 50 years earlier, he was in Manhattan. And someone stopped him on the street. I'm assuming it was another Chabad guy. And said, excuse me, sir, are you Jewish? And he was kind of taken by surprise by that question. So he said, no, I'm not Jewish. And he continued walking. He got to his apartment and he was thinking to himself, what? What? Why did I just say that? Why did I say I'm not Jewish? Like, I didn't know what he wanted. Is he selling me chocolate? I don't know. Like what's the problem? Me telling. So he was very curious. Like, first of all, he's very curious and he felt like, I'm Jewish. Like, why did I deny my Judaism? Like, for what reason? So he said he has to go back and find this guy. So he goes back, but the guy's not there. He said, okay, maybe I'll see him the next day. Next day he's not there. Next day. He says, it was eating him up. It was eating him up. Why did I deny my Judaism? And he didn't know why he's eating him up because he wasn't a religious Jew. He didn't really know much about Judaism. He didn't really identify much about Judaism other than that he knows that he's Jewish. But the fact that he said that he's not Jewish to another Jewish guy in the street, he couldn't live with it. And he said, it's been 50 years. It's been eating me up for 50 years. 50 years later, on the streets of Paris, someone asks me if I'm Jewish. It's 50 years of this feeling that came out, burst out, and saying, yes, I'm Jewish. I can finally rectify what happened 50 years ago. And it was the same request. Do you want to put on tefillin? He put on tefillin, right? So that's the idea. The idea is that we all have it within us. Sometimes you got to just ignite it. You got to bring it out, and we'll reveal the beautiful diamond that we have within us. And sometimes it's just a little covered over. So that's a little thought for this week's Parsha and the Rosh Hashanah coming up. I wish you all a kesiva v'chasima tova. It should be inscribed and sealed for the good, and a shana tova u'mbasuka, a happy, a good, and sweet new year. As someone pointed out to me, that our tradition is that we don't say you should have a happy year, happy New Year's. We say you should have a good year. The Shana Tova means you should have a good year. It doesn't say you should have a Chag Sameach, as we say, a happy holiday, or the Shana Sameach, a happy year. We don't say have a happy year, we say you have a good year. A good year means you have a meaningful year, right? It should be good. Happiness is happiness, right? We could be happy from not so true things, right? Sometimes you could just have a happy time, even though we're not being productive, we're not doing what's right. We're just happy. Because happiness is a virtue, but it comes after goodness. We should have a good year, good and physical and spiritual. And together with that, we should also have happiness. I'll leave you with that. Shana Tova. Take care.
Yeah.